From the moment Sarah Knauss entered the world on September 24, 1880, until her passing on December 30th, 1999, she lived through one of the most transformative chapters of human history. Imagine being born in a time when electricity was still a luxury, when cars were rare curiosities, and when airplanes hadn't yet touched the sky. Then picture living long enough to see astronauts walk on the moon, television broadcasting news across the globe in seconds, and the birth of the internet. Sarah Knauss, an American supercentenarian, not only witnessed these marvels, she embodied resilience, grace, and longevity that continues to inspire people today. Her journey of 119 years makes her the second oldest fully documented person in recorded history, just behind Jeanne Calment of France. But Sarah's story isn't simply about reaching an extraordinary age. It is also about what she represented. A steady reminder that the keys to longevity are not always found in expensive treatments or strict routines, but rather in balance, attitude, and an almost gentle enjoyment of life. Why does this story matter to us now? Because in today's fast-paced world, many of us are searching for ways to extend our health span, the years we live actively and independently, rather than just lifespan. And Sarah Knauss offers lessons that are surprisingly simple, yet profoundly powerful. Seniors who hear her story often find comfort in knowing that living well doesn't necessarily mean chasing every health trend or denying yourself the joys of daily life. Instead, it can mean cultivating a positive spirit, avoiding unnecessary stress, and embracing each day with calm steadiness. Science backs this up. Research into longevity often highlights lifestyle factors: diet, exercise, genetics, social support, and mental attitude. Yet again and again, we see that those who live longest usually share something intangible, a lightness of spirit. They do not let stress overwhelm them. They find pleasure in small things, and they adapt to the challenges of aging with quiet strength. Sarah Knauss was a shining example of this. Born in Pennsylvania, she lived a humble life, first as a homemaker and then as an insurance office manager. She wasn't a celebrity, and she didn't set out to make headlines. But her remarkable age caught the attention of the world. When asked about her secret to longevity, she often gave an answer that seemed deceptively simple. She avoided stress and lived with peace of mind. Her family described her as a kind, calm woman who rarely got upset. In fact, her daughter once joked that Sarah never seemed to worry about anything at all, and perhaps that was her greatest secret. Think about it in terms of your own life. How often do you find yourself stressing about traffic, bills, or technology? Sarah lived through times far more uncertain than most of us face today. 2 world wars, the Great Depression, massive social changes, yet she carried herself with steadiness and optimism. Instead of letting life's challenges weigh her down, she seemed to take things as they came. This is important because modern science increasingly shows that chronic stress doesn't just affect your mood. It affects your body at the deepest levels. Long-term stress is linked to high blood pressure, weakened immunity, heart disease, and faster aging at the cellular level. On the flip side, learning to manage stress, whether through positive outlook, hobbies, faith, or strong social connections, helps protect both body and mind. Sarah Knauss demonstrated this truth not in a laboratory, but in her everyday life. Another fascinating part of Sarah's longevity story is how she adapted to the incredible pace of change around her. Imagine being born before radio, before cars filled the streets, and living to see the dawn of the internet age. That kind of transition requires flexibility, openness, and curiosity. She lived not just a long life, but a life that remained connected to the present, even as she carried the memories of the past. This ability to adjust and not be stuck in time likely played a role in her emotional well-being. Relating Sarah's story to our daily lives, we can take comfort in knowing that longevity isn't just about perfect health habits. Yes, diet and exercise matter, but so does mindset. If you are a senior listening to this, you don't have to worry about adopting extreme regimens to stay healthy. What Sarah teaches us is that living calmly, embracing simplicity, and finding joy in each day can be just as powerful as anything else. Sarah's 119-year journey reminds us that the human body is remarkably resilient, and that with the right combination of care, spirit, and perspective, it is possible to live well into the second century of life. In the next block, we'll explore the first key move that defined her longevity. How maintaining calm and avoiding unnecessary stress may have been the cornerstone of her remarkable journey. When people asked Sarah Knauss what kept her alive for so long, her answer was consistent. "I don't let things upset me." This was more than a passing remark. It was the first key move that defined her extraordinary journey. Sarah's ability to remain calm and avoid unnecessary stress may have been the single most important factor in her reaching 119 years. Think about it for a moment. Stress is often described as the silent killer. Modern science has proven that prolonged stress can damage the heart, weaken the immune system, accelerate memory decline, and even shorten life expectancy. Yet Sarah seemed to live with an almost unshakable serenity. Her family described her as a woman who hardly ever raised her voice, who took each day as it came, and who had a quiet confidence about life. This ability to stay calm wasn't about ignoring life's problems. Sarah certainly lived through many. Born in 1880, she endured the Great Depression, 2 world wars, countless economic downturns, and the loss of loved ones over the decades. But she didn't let these experiences harden her heart or cloud her outlook. Instead, she cultivated resilience through calmness. She understood that some things are beyond control, and she refused to let those things disturb her peace of mind. For seniors listening today, this lesson is invaluable. We cannot control every challenge life brings, but we can control how we respond. Sarah's life illustrates that peace is not the absence of hardship, but the decision to handle hardship with grace. Whether it was changing technologies, social upheavals, or personal loss, Sarah seemed to practice the art of acceptance, and in doing so, she protected her health as well as her happiness. There's also a deeper scientific truth here. Stress produces hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, which are useful in short bursts but harmful when sustained. Chronic stress wears down the body, causing inflammation and damaging vital organs. It can even shorten the protective telomeres at the ends of our DNA, which are strongly linked to aging. Sarah's stress-free outlook may have helped her avoid this kind of biological wear and tear, essentially allowing her body to age slowly compared to others. Of course, not everyone is naturally calm. Some people worry more than others by personality. But Sarah's example shows that calmness is not simply a trait you're born with. It's also a practice. For instance, she was known to enjoy simple hobbies, like needlepoint and reading, activities that bring focus and peace rather than agitation. She also valued family, community, and kindness, which gave her a stable emotional foundation. Imagine adopting some of Sarah's habits in your own life. Instead of rushing through each day, take time to breathe, to enjoy a hobby, or to sit quietly with loved ones. If stress arises, remember Sarah's words. Don't let things upset you. While easier said than done, it's a powerful reminder that peace of mind is a choice we can make repeatedly. There's also an emotional encouragement here. Many people fear aging because they associate it with stress, illness, and decline. But Sarah lived proof that life can remain rich and meaningful even as the years pile up. She showed that by protecting your inner calm, you protect your body and spirit at the same time. Seniors today can take hope in this lesson. Longevity is not just about medicine or genetics. It's about how you carry your heart through life. It's worth noting that Sarah's calmness did not mean passivity. She was not disconnected from the world. In fact, she remained interested in current events and enjoyed keeping up with what was happening in her community. She simply approached life without agitation, like a river that continues to flow no matter what obstacles lie in its path. Her outlook can also inspire younger generations. Stress and anxiety are not just problems of old age. They are deeply woven into modern life for people of all ages. Sarah's message, that it is possible to live long and well by embracing calmness, serves as a guiding light for anyone who feels weighed down by modern pressures. As Sarah herself lived through nearly 12 decades, her calm nature became even more striking. When she turned 100 in 1980, reporters asked how she felt about her age. She responded with quiet humor, suggesting that she didn't feel particularly different. When she reached 115, she still carried the same relaxed attitude. And at 119, she remained a woman of dignity, grace, and composure, her calmness intact to the very end. This first key move, living with peace and refusing to let stress dominate, offers us all a powerful roadmap. If Sarah could face the immense upheavals of the 20th century with calm strength, then surely we can face our daily worries with a lighter spirit. In the next part of her story, we'll explore another key move that likely contributed to Sarah's longevity: the quiet but essential role of maintaining strong social connections and family ties. Just as calmness strengthened her body and mind, community gave her life meaning and support. Together, these moves created the foundation for one of the longest lives ever recorded. Beyond her calm attitude, another powerful secret of Sarah Knauss's long life was her connection to family and community. For Sarah, relationships were not just a comfort, they were a foundation that helped her live through more than a century of change. While many people fear loneliness in old age, Sarah remained surrounded by love, care, and social ties that gave her life warmth and meaning. Born in Hollywood, Pennsylvania, Sarah lived most of her life in the same state. This sense of rootedness meant that she was never far from the people who knew her best. She married Abraham Lincoln Knauss in 1901, and they shared nearly 7 decades together until his passing in 1965. Through those years, she built a family that extended across generations. She had a daughter, Catherine, who lived to the age of 101, and by the time Sarah herself passed away, she had grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and even great-great-grandchildren. Imagine the joy of watching 5 generations of your family grow before your eyes. That sense of continuity alone can give a person deep motivation to live. Family isn't just about companionship. It plays a role in health. Modern research consistently shows that people who maintain close social ties live longer and healthier lives than those who are isolated. Strong relationships reduce the risk of depression, protect the heart, and even boost the immune system. When seniors feel connected, they experience less stress, eat more balanced meals, and are more likely to stay active. Sarah's life mirrored these findings long before scientists confirmed them. Think about the importance of daily interactions. For Sarah, family members visited her, celebrated birthdays and milestones, and simply enjoyed her presence. These connections kept her engaged with life. She wasn't forgotten or left behind, but rather cherished and admired as a living link to the past. This gave her a sense of purpose, something every human being needs, whether young or old. Even in her later years when Sarah lived in a nursing facility, she wasn't alone. Her daughter Catherine visited her daily, bringing conversation and comfort. This kind of steady support is not only emotionally nourishing, but physically protective. Seniors who have caregivers or family members visiting regularly are less likely to develop complications like malnutrition, dehydration, or depression. Sarah's family ensured that she always felt cared for, and this may have extended her life significantly. We can also look at this from the perspective of joy. Sarah enjoyed being part of family gatherings, listening to stories, and witnessing history through the eyes of her descendants. Imagine being able to sit with your great-great-grandchild and hear about the world they are growing up in, a world so different from your own childhood in the 19th century. That intergenerational exchange gave Sarah's life richness and kept her mentally stimulated. This is a key lesson for today's seniors. Stay connected. Whether with family, friends, neighbors, or even community groups, those bonds are powerful protectors of health. If you're listening now and sometimes feel isolated, remember Sarah's example. Pick up the phone, invite a neighbor for tea, join a local activity group, or spend more time with children or grandchildren. Even small interactions add up to a stronger sense of belonging. There's also something to be said about Sarah's ability to give love as much as she received it. People described her as gentle, kind, and grateful. Relationships thrive on reciprocity, and Sarah nurtured those around her with the same calmness that sustained her. In return, they were eager to care for her well-being. This created a cycle of love that protected her from the loneliness that often cuts lives short. Stories about Sarah's later years reflect how treasured she was. When she celebrated her 115th birthday in 1995, the media covered the event, and her family proudly shared her with the world. She became a symbol of endurance not just for her relatives, but for society at large. And yet, at her core, she remained the same humble woman who valued family above all else. Think about the contrast here. Many people chase health fads, supplements, or strict diets in hopes of living longer. Sarah, on the other hand, lived long not because of anything extravagant, but because she nurtured the very human need for connection. Her story is a reminder that the people in our lives matter more than any pill or miracle cure. As seniors, embracing this lesson is both simple and profound. Make time for others. Share your stories. Laugh together. Cry together. Celebrate the small things. Just as Sarah's family made her last years full of dignity and warmth, you too can both give and receive this gift in your own circle of life. In the next block, we'll look at the third and final key move that shaped Sarah's remarkable journey. The quiet art of moderation. How she lived with balance, enjoyed life without excess, and allowed her body the gentle pace it needed to endure for nearly 12 decades. If calmness was Sarah Knauss's inner compass and family her anchor, then moderation was the steady rhythm that carried her through 119 years. Unlike modern trends that emphasize strict diets, extreme fitness routines, or complex supplements, Sarah's life reflected a gentler truth. Balance sustains longevity. She was never obsessed with health fads, nor did she deprive herself of the joys of living. Instead, she embraced moderation in eating, activity, and daily habits, a rhythm that gave her body both nourishment and rest. One of the most telling insights came from her daughter, Catherine, who lived to be 101 herself. Catherine explained that Sarah never smoked, rarely drank alcohol, and always ate simply. She enjoyed small treats now and then, but she was never excessive. Sarah didn't follow a rigid diet plan. She simply ate modest portions of traditional foods. At family gatherings, she would indulge lightly, but never overdo it. This kind of natural balance not only kept her physically healthy, but also emotionally content, because she never felt she was missing out on life's pleasures. Scientists today confirm what Sarah practiced instinctively. Studies of longevity hotspots around the world, places like Okinawa in Japan, Sardinia in Italy, and Nicoya in Costa Rica, show that moderation is a common thread. People in these regions often eat until they are satisfied but not stuffed, and they emphasize whole foods over processed ones. They move their bodies regularly, but usually through natural daily activities like walking, gardening, or light chores, rather than intense gym regimens. Sarah's life aligned with these findings long before Blue Zone research became popular. Moderation also extended to her lifestyle choices. Sarah wasn't a woman of extremes. She didn't push herself into exhaustion, but she also didn't spend her life in idleness. She balanced activity with rest. For example, she enjoyed sewing and needlepoint, which kept her hands busy and her mind focused. But she also valued quiet relaxation. This gentle balance between doing and resting likely gave her body the recovery it needed to endure year after year, decade after decade. For seniors today, Sarah's example carries a reassuring message. You don't need perfection to live long, you just need balance. Many people worry that they aren't doing enough, that they should be exercising more, eating stricter diets, or chasing the latest wellness trend. But Sarah proves that consistency and moderation is far more powerful than extremes. A steady pace, not a frantic sprint, is what carries you through the marathon of life. Even in her later years, Sarah maintained this balanced outlook. When she turned 115, she was asked what she thought of her remarkable longevity. True to her nature, she gave a lighthearted answer that suggested she hadn't overanalyzed it. She simply lived, day by day, without excess worry or effort. This simplicity is inspiring because it reminds us that longevity is not reserved for those with wealth, access to expensive treatments, or strict regimens. It is available to anyone who practices calmness, nurtures connections, and embraces moderation. There's also something deeply empowering in Sarah's story. Living 119 years might sound extraordinary, but the building blocks of her life, peace, family, moderation, are things we can all cultivate. You don't need to change who you are. You only need to return to the basics of human well-being. This is why Sarah's legacy resonates so strongly. She shows us that the extraordinary can come from the ordinary when practiced with steadiness over time. As we reflect on Sarah Knauss's journey, imagine what she experienced between 1880 and 1999. She was born into a world lit by kerosene lamps and horse-drawn carriages, and she left it in an era of space shuttles and digital communication. Yet, through all of this, her principles never wavered. Calmness guided her heart, family gave her purpose, and moderation preserved her strength. Her story should encourage every senior listening today. Even if you are in your 60s, 70s, 80s, or beyond, there is still hope to shape your health and well-being. Aging is not only about decline, it is also about growth in wisdom, resilience, and perspective. Sarah's life reminds us that independence and dignity can last deep into old age, and that longevity can be embraced with grace rather than fear. Perhaps the most inspiring truth of all is that Sarah did not live for 119 years by chasing youth. She lived by embracing age. She accepted the passage of time, adapted to each new era, and remained steady at her core. That acceptance is a form of freedom